Okay, board members, we're going to get started. I want to welcome you back after lunch here. We kind of have a time certain thing here. We're going to start on item 9. This is an actual item. It's Deputy Superintendent Scott Jones. Do you want to introduce why we're here and what we're doing and why I need a motion at the end of the presentation? I'll be seeking one after discussion and that. So,
Deputy Superintendent of Operations Scott Jones. This agenda item is a necessary agenda item. The board does have to approve the budget for the regional service centers for state fiscal year 20. It's also an opportunity for you to see all the great things that in my short time here that I've experienced and got to know better of what the regional service centers are doing on behalf of the individual student with the educators and the districts that they serve. So, Chair, without further ado, if we could invite them up to make their presentation with the intent or the end state being that the board, their motion is made to approve the state fiscal year 20 budget for the regional service centers.
okay, and board members, from what I understand, talking to regional service centers, this presentation will be similar to last year, but some of you weren't last year. So, knowing the format of this, if you can, board members, if you can write your questions down, we'll let them get through their presentation, and then we'll go to questions. So, please continue.
My name is Kent Larson. I'm superintendent from South Sanpete School District, and this is
Jason Strait, Central Utah Educational Services Executive Director.
And I'm Superintendent Ray from North Sanpete School District. I'm Superintendent Ray from North Sanpete School District. Go Hawks. That's it.
careful.
I know.
Careful. Yeah, we have a presentation. First of all, we want to thank you for letting us come. And you may wonder why a superintendent speaking when we have service center directors here today. There's just an untold amount of things that service centers do. And so I think we wanted to be more a part of this so that we could stress the importance of the service centers and what they do. I'll try to just outline a little bit about, you can notice on the first slide there, this is their 50th year anniversary. The service centers have been around, so it's not a new thing. Personally, I think they've evolved a ton, and just in the period of time in 7 years that I've been around, or going on 7 years, that they've evolved in helping and in all the areas in which they try to service us. They're directed by a board of superintendents in each service area. This next slide right here, it was created in 1969, I guess. There are 26 rural districts throughout the state that are involved in the service centers. And as you look at a picture of the map up there, you can see that doesn't work on a screen. That's okay. That as far as surface area, the rural service centers serve most of the state. And when you think of 26 districts, there's 41. So this is a huge part of the service of public education, and mind you, some of the, charters are public schools, but we involve charter schools as well. Let's see, sorry. This is the strategic plan and strategic goals, and they're lined up with the state boards, and Jason's going to address that just a bit.
So what we've really tried to do in the regional service centers is align our strategic visions with that of Utah State Board of Education strategic vision. And as we present today, I believe that you'll be able to see a lot of the projects that we are doing are aligning with early learning, safe and healthy schools, personalized teaching and learning, and effective educators and leaders. Many of our programs that we're doing, we're just not technology centers. We are expanding into professional learning, behavioral and mental health. Recently, the regional service centers applied for House Bill 373 funds And we believe that ties directly to the state board's vision of safe and healthy schools. We were awarded these funds, and we're now in the process of adding personnel to work in the schools for the betterment of student mental and behavioral health. And so as we present, please watch for the things that we're doing that tie into your strategic vision, because our goal is to do that.
I think it's kind of outline what we're going to try to do is just outline each one of the service centers, and they'll have different presenters to go along with that presentation. So the first one that we're going to talk about is the CUES. That's the Central Utah Education Center. That happens to be the one that Superintendent Sam and I belong to. It's based in Richfield. We have a fairly new building, a remodeled building that has happened in the last few years. There are 8.5 people that work there right now for their FTD. Yeah, that half a person is interesting. Out of that 8.5, there are 2.5 of those that are totally funded by the LEAs. And there are 2 more that are funded by UETN, and the other come from the state funds in which you will be asked to appropriate this day, hopefully. And so that is their, and Jason happens to be the facilitator of those people. As he mentioned, right now we're trying to work on a few extra people, the mental health part of that, which we're very excited to do. We've worked a long time on that plan and appreciate the support that it's got. There is a 7-member district board. That's superintendents from the 7 districts. Those 7 districts are listed on the side there. Were Juab, North Sanpete, Paiute, Sevier, South Sanpete. That should have been at the top for some reason. And then Tintic, and then Wayne. As you can see, even in that, as it is with all the service centers, there's a lot of diversity even in those districts. There you have a district that is approaching 6,000, down to one that will have less than 1,000 or in the hundreds with Paiute and Wayne. So, and Tintic. So that kind of creates the reason why we have service centers, which we'll get into in just a few minutes. There are 13,579 students that are served from the CUES region, and that's 755 teachers. Those teachers are served in a variety of services along the way.
So one of the things I want to talk about is the benefits of the service center. We have PLCs in every one of our schools. We have district-wide PLCs for our teachers. We have a leadership PLC in our district for all the principals to work and collaborate together. And I see our board at CUES as my PLC. That's my opportunity to collaborate professionally, learn from my peers. It's also an opportunity for us to bounce ideas off each other because we all have individual challenges, but we don't have large staffs. It's not like we have a large cabinet in our district that we can talk about our challenges and come up with additional points of view and ideas. And so this 7-member board at CUES is my PLC. That's my peers that I go to. I know I can call any one of them for help at any time. And when you have a real small district office, half of our districts only have a superintendent and a secretary, or a superintendent, a BA, and a secretary. And to be able to have that support is really valuable. So I'd like to talk about the actual services provided. Obviously, our service centers provide a lot of technology support with, we're doing a lot with security right now, antivirus, malware, ransomware, and we have hired security specialists to help us with that. We also have off-site data backup so that if we have a data problem, we have not only on-site data backup at multiple locations, but actually off-site data backup. We have our regional Alio and FIS servers and with our employee portal. So all of our financial data and all of our student information data, we have help through CUES for that. Also, we have security and data privacy that's helping our teachers learn about phishing and keeping PII secure. Comes around and does training with all of our faculties and does training at our summer workshops, and that's been really helpful as well. We also have professional development trainings in Canvas, Internet Safety, and Overdrive. We have 109 teachers enrolled in our educational technology endorsement program. So you notice there were 755 teachers and 109 are enrolled in educational technology endorsement. So CUES really helps us to be the leader in the state in a lot of ways with technology, and we're really excited with the things we can provide to students in our areas. We also provide training for 3,670 participants, totaling 8,300 participant hours. So we do a lot of training, not only of our own teachers, but of teachers throughout the state. That includes ESL endorsements. We have 38 teachers from 15 districts and charter schools that are served through our service center. We have APT teachers, 48 teachers from 12 districts and charter schools. So you notice there, if you do the math, we don't have 15 districts. We don't have 12 districts. We're serving districts all over the state. We're serving teachers from the Wasatch Front. We're serving teachers that need these services, and we're providing them statewide in many cases. You can also see that we've completed almost 1,500 graduate credits generated through these endorsement programs. So having been an administrator on the Wasatch Front, when you have a university close by and a teacher wants to do an endorsement, it's really easy for them to just go at night, one night a week, and go and get that endorsement, or go in the summer. But when you're hours from a university, we are able to use the resources of UEN to be able to take those resources and deliver them to our teachers in the hometown where they live or near a school, so that they can get those endorsements just like teachers in more urban areas. And that helps us to have the best qualified teachers in the classroom. We also coordinate with News, SCDC, and SCSC to offer reading and math endorsements. And we participate in the K-16 Alliance at Snow College, which is a very it's one of the top K-16 alliances in the state of Utah. We went and testified to the governor's committee a year or so ago about how wonderful Snow's K-16 Alliance was. And also, CUE sponsors our Rural Sterling Scholar Initiative so that the students in our area have opportunities to participate in Sterling Scholar.
I'd just like to add just a thing or two to that. In the ESL endorsement, a lot of times you think that we're just closed to the service center areas or whatever that might be, and that's not the case. I know that in our, is it our MD, it's our management system for the iPads. I think we now have North Summit that comes on and it comes with CUES. That ESL endorsement, part of the program up north was not continued this year, and so our service center picked up 30 more students this year from the Box Elder area. So that makes a total this year of about 150 teachers that will be taking ESL endorsement programs through the CUES Service Center. Sam mentioned the coordination between News and all the service centers, and Superintendent Davis, when he brings his presentation, he's going to mention some things, some historical things about that and how that has been an advantage throughout his career, which I think he said was like 35 years. He's really old. Anyway, and then I just want to add one more thing about the participation in the K-16 Alliance. A lot of our goals district-wide is for college readiness, and it's a long time before it became the thing to say. It was clear back when I was a high school principal that started. Snow has been very active in helping us participate in that, in the effect that they've listened. They come down and visit our middle schools. They've created math outline flyers and programs in preparation for their classes to give to our kids to show them the pathway they need to have in order to graduate with associate degrees in different areas. They've been fantastic, and so that K-16 Alliance has been very valuable as a resource to us.
Okay. Also, the K-16 Alliance actually trains our teachers. They bring the college teachers together, the high school teachers, and the middle school teachers together in the same training, so that they build a bridge for the students, so that they build a math experience that the students can travel through seamlessly. And having my students go through a different system, my own children, I saw the huge problem when they hit college and math, and it was a huge impediment to their education. And so I really appreciate Snow College building that bridge for the kids we serve. Actually, with coordination of public and higher ed and the services we provide, we've done grant writing for professional learning in the behavioral health, mental health that Jason was talking about with HB 373, and the professional learning, you've seen all the things we're doing with the endorsements. We also do cooperative purchasing. It's really important. When you're a small district, you can't get volume purchases and you can't buy things at a cheaper price because you're not buying that many. But if we get together with all the regional service centers, we can buy a lot cheaper. So we save between 33 and 50% on some of those purchases. And let me just give you an example. We use Odysseyware in our district, and we had come up with a price for what we could pay for Odysseyware. And then Jason worked with some of the larger districts on the Wasatch Front, some of the other rural districts, and got together pretty much all the districts in the state that were working with Odysseyware. And we went and did a combined purchase. And our cost, instead of $50,000, is $18,000. So we're saving $32,000 a year through cooperative purchasing. So this is a big deal to our small districts that have very limited budgets to be able to do these cooperative purchasing. So the cooperative purchasing is not just in papers and pencils and soccer balls and footballs. It's also in technology and using the platform that backs up our one-to-one devices with all the security and all the control we need on those devices. It's in our firewall. It's in all the things that we do so that we can operate much more efficiently. We also do the live scan fingerprints. We've done almost 1,500 fingerprints this year. We have 1,000+ computer repairs. So in our districts, many of us have one-to-one iPads for our students. And when they break that device, rather than having to send it to Apple to get repaired, we send it to our service center and they repair it for a fraction of the cost and get it back within a couple of days so the student has their device back. We also have over 36,000 checkouts from our regional overdrive library. So our kids don't necessarily live just around the corner from the library. But if they have access to the internet, they can access that overdrive library all summer and not have the summer slide where they lose their reading skills because they didn't practice their reading. If they have a device, they can check out a library and they can read it online. We also have $130,000 in grants for professional learning and internships. We have coordinating with our district technology and curriculum projects. So one of the things that was really helpful is when the state board voted to change the science curriculum for the middle school 6, 7, and 8. CUES put together a training program for our teachers, and they brought our teachers together in the summer and also during the school year, and they trained them on this new curriculum. And they provided, with this grant, they provided actual hands-on activities for the teachers to use in the classroom. And then at the end of the event, at the end of the training, all of those resources are available on the CUES website, so the teachers can go in and see all the lesson plans, and they got all the manipulatives and all the hands-on activities that they could use in their classroom. So this really helps us to help our teachers be most effective. And then, of course, we have coordinated professional development conferences where we get together and learn and improve.
I just want to say a couple things through that, those expense levels that the CUES area and the service center saves us. Right now, I can list them: Joomla, Sophos, the VMware, the architecture, the Fortinet security, Jamf software, our Alio software. It's all housed. To give you an example, in the Alio software itself, I can't remember how many districts. There are four of the districts use the Alio. Each of us would have five. Each of us would have had to buy a $10,000 file server to run that Alio. Instead, we have one at CUES that runs them all. So you can see the cost savings, even yearly and every 3 years, that saves us. In my district alone, that's about $200,000 a year that it saves us. So it's a valuable resource, and let alone the services that they provide. On an average, in each one of those cooperative services, it amounts to about 1/3 the cost, or it saves us about 1/3 to half the cost of if we have a combined. Now, one other thing, just to mention about an example of a savings that we had in the Edgenuity, which is an individualized program. the savings that we combined with the service centers, in addition to Davis School District, to Weber District, to several others that jumped on at that point because of the collaboration of our service center directors, saved the state about $300,000 in that software purchase alone, let alone us. And I don't have the individual savings there, but it was significant. Now, one of the things that, as we end our Q's thing, is that just the personal experience about what the service centers. To me, when I jumped on board, coming from a high school principal at Gunnison High School, and then going to the service center, we were able, it came at that time to make some changes at the service center. We hired Jason as our director, and the experience that I had, though, working with those 7 superintendents and their ability to cooperate with one another and really come up with a single purpose of what we wanted to achieve, and then watch it go through in the last 7 years, has been fabulous. It's been a fantastic experience. They're very close friends. Sam mentioned that, but they're very close friends, let alone it's nice to associate with those type of people. So, and then in addition to that, the quality of people that we've had at the service center. Jason has been fabulous in what he does. So anyway, that's my experience.
We'll just end on one story, and this is a collaborative effort with CUES, USBE, and the BYU. In the CUES region, we have not had a single school psychologist, but yet we are experiencing quite a bit of turmoil in what students are facing, what teachers are facing, and so we did a collaborative effort. And we hired a school psychologist. We couldn't hire a school psychologist, so we worked with USBE, and they are going to BYU right now. The person we hired, getting their school psychologist license, and they're in their 2nd year right now. And at the end of that, we will have a school psychologist that we can start implementing a lot of programs better along the lines of PBIS, MTSS, counseling services, those types of things. And then this ties directly into the House Bill 373 with the school psychologist, with the services that we're going to expand into to start providing services. So we really appreciate the collaborative effort that we have with USBE and being able to work with the different individuals here and our state superintendent and Deputy Jones and Patty Norman and Angie and everybody. It's just a great experience, so thank you for your support and help.
Thank you.
Okay, you'll introduce yourselves, and then you're up.
Is it on? Hi, I'm Tracy Davis. I'm the superintendent from Garfield County.
And I'm Joby Wright, and I'm the director of SEDC, which is the Southwest Education Development Center located in Cedar City.
I think probably I could save a lot of time and echo almost everything that's been said from the CUES region. What I'd like to cover is going over the camaraderie between the different groups, how we work together so well, how we save money in our cooperative purchase agreements, how we can get the best bite out of our dollar based on sharing knowledge and working together. And the uniqueness of everything is that we all know that we've only got so much manpower. And so by taking the best of what it is that we can do, we can share that around and get the best bang for the dollar without any questions asked. And so I think the importance of the service center is the caliber of people that we've got hired, and then additionally to that, it's their ability to be able to work with each of us in the areas that we need. And so I hate to use the term, I'm a businessman, logically thinking, and I use the term bookie. We couldn't have a better bookie to dispense educational services in the state of Utah. because that's what we do. And, we've got professionals that only coordinate the best that they're capable of giving, and when they can't provide the best, they turn us on to somebody else and say, you'll have to go over there to place that bet. And we do that. It's very effective, and it works flawlessly between the regional areas. And so what I wanted to hit about right off the bat is, do we work together? Yes, we do. And how well does it work? It works perfect. And the reason it works perfect is because we share resources. Superintendent Ray had talked about the PLC groups. Well, what you need to realize is that everybody that works on Project X or Software Y or this new program G or new state law revision A, what you need to understand is that every service center, rather than doing that individually and by themselves, reinventing the wheel, they're willing to share amongst themselves, the directors, to find out who has the most expertise or the most aptitude in that area, and be willing to share that such that we're not all wasting the same amount of time on the same project. One person's got the expertise, let them go for that. So you've heard when the Q's region was talking that they've gone through and they've shared, they might have taught this class or this PD or this, the preliminary work for the APT, or else how to get the different endorsements that we need, whether it be the ESL or whether it be something else. And what you find out is that everything has been coordinated rather than one region, such as SEDC, having to teach everything. I don't even go to SEDC for ESL, I'll go to Q's. And every single region has their own expertise or their own area, and they take care of that. And they don't just take care of it for their region, they take care of it for every region, including the Wasatch Front Schools. In addition, one thing that you need to understand is that, in the very beginning when we started here in the charter school movement, where do they fit in? Do they fit into the service centers? And that was a few years to bridge that gap. But the SEDC region, I think we have 8 notable charter school systems that are part of it. And the services that they get is saving them thousands and thousands of dollars. Just like the Q's region, you'll find out that, they talked about file sharing. We do file sharing in our region. They talked about Alio, or they talked about different type of file sharing services. We're unique in our region in as much as we have Iron and we have Washington, 2 very large districts comparably to the rest of us. So geographically, we're a very, very, very large region. Garfield County is the size of the state of Connecticut. We're not a rural area. We're double. We're really rural. And the reason is because, we've got a large expanse of ground, and there's a lot of real estate between everything. We have a summer population that booms. We have a winter population that barely exists. And so to meet the needs of all of that, we have to have resources. Superintendent Ray talked about some of the district offices might have a superintendent, a BA, and maybe 1 or 2 staff. Well, that's what we operate off also. But the unique thing about the service centers that represent the rural areas is their staff becomes our staff. And immediately when we have issues, we have needs, we have desires, we can go through them. Their expertise, since they meet the same way that the superintendents meet, is they can go through and find out who's doing what, and they know immediately where resources are, how we can access them, how we can take care of them. So I think as far as my personal, I was classed as really old. I'm really not, but anyway, in that particular instance, I have 35 years in the system, and I have 35 years using a regional service center. And from my very beginning to even today, I use the regional service center on a regular basis. I have high expectations of the regional service centers, and I don't get denied services. It's a willingness and a more than helpful attitude to meet the needs that we have. In my rural area, I don't just use SEDC, even though that's my geographic location. So I have relationships with all of these guys behind me, and Duke's probably been around longer than the others from news, and he and I have been doing business for district level items for years because he was representative of the things that I needed at the time, even though he was 200 miles away. So that being said, I think you need to understand is that the importance of the service center is great, and the coordination amongst all of them is even better, and that it's not necessarily a regional institution, it's a statewide institution that delivers to every single one of us. And so very, very worthy of support from all levels. Our regional area, like I said, is quite large, 51,000 students. Geographically, it's quite large. And so as such, the bigger the district, the more assets, the more resources. And so at that particular point, it's easy for us to go to a different service center, or it's easy for us to go to a Iron or to a Washington and ask questions, get expertise, and actually have help. And so we've got something in addition to maybe some of the others, because we've got access to the bigger areas with the more staff members to provide things. But to go over all of that, I think that we're in a situation where, everybody wins, and when the regions see what we've got that we've maybe pilfered or borrowed from one of those larger districts, they turn around and utilize it. And so a lot of the things that we get are from a relationship amongst our regional members, but those are then shared out to the different regions and their district members. And so all of our library services, for the most part of our region, came out of an idea out of Washington County, in which they developed because they had the money. And so that just spread from district to district to district throughout the region, and then it was taken care of and added on to by the different areas. Another thing is we use a regional library type system as far as texts, as far as digital books, digital holdings, and a lot of that is taken care of by that. So what I think that we need to know is that, the effectiveness and the coordination of the regional service centers is great. SEDC, some of the things that they've done is they've done math endorsements, which for the elementary schools. They were online right in the very beginning for Canvas and Canvas training long before anything was being delivered in K-12 education on Canvas, but they were getting ready because we knew about it. You've heard the new things about Edurome. Prior to Edurome, we ran a thing that we called the Chrome Network, and we called it Chrome-Fi, in which it was regionally available for students to do their homework from other schools as they come to athletic events, because they had access to the different types of Wi-Fi or the different types of internet access, so that they could do their homework on their athletic events and not sit idle, get in trouble or whatever. We do the Alio share. We do the SIS share, the Aspire share, the SAS 2000. I've been there since they were all there. Anyway, that being said, is that we not only share that with just, public ed type high schools or public ed elementaries, but it's also the charter school institutions that we allow to come in and share those resources also. And so by having that available, those services, we're able to not only share with those that need it, but also share with those who don't have access to anything else. So that being said, SEDC, the region itself, offers 4 different types of endorsement trainings through the different licensing expectations. We do the elementary math, we do the STEM, we do the educational technology and gifted and talented endorsements, and that's things that's put on by the local SEDC staff. Just like the others, we've got 1 or 2 staff members funded from this account, funded from this account, funded from the local districts, funded from UEN, or funded from USBE. So we're all set up about the same. We all share resources about the same. We all provide a lot of the same services, but we also provide in-depth detail to anybody that needs it. And we haven't been too picky on who we provide it to, as long as they're within the realm of Utah's public education.
Just to kind of go along with that, just so you're aware, Q's and News and SESC have done a STEM endorsement, and then we have partnered with SUU to do something just a little bit different. Theirs is more of distance ed, and ours is more hands-on, where the teachers have to come actually to SUU. But we wanted to expand that a little bit, and so we actually have 2 cohorts with our STEM endorsement. We offer one at SUU for the southern teachers, and then our teachers actually come up to the Canyons and Jordan districts, and they offer the STEM endorsement for the Canyons and the Jordan districts. So we are a regional service center, but we're offering it to 2 of the largest districts in the state. Also, our gifted and talented endorsement that we just started this year, half of our teachers are from the Ogden school district.
So to culminate services for SEDC, some of the new things that we've tried to bring in to coordinate elementary services. Sometimes we hit a lot of the high school, but elementary we've started regionally, which is part of a national cohort of some type, is a spelling bee system that keeps going if we should choose to prepare and participate inside of it. We have an organization like most regions, which is part of a state organization that deals with all the technology, the different uses, the different apparatuses, what works, what doesn't. Those are all things that couldn't be done if we didn't have coordinative services through these regional centers to bring all the expertise to a certain point. And so we do break out in our particular region. You'd heard Q's talk about coming up with a psychologist. In our area, we have an autism specialist that we use, to distribute the services throughout everybody. And those are the things that we need, is to be able to have a coordinating agency to take a minimal amount of allocation for each district, put it together into a pot, and come up with a specialist that none of us could afford, let alone rent a piece of because we're so far away. So very supportive of regional service centers, and I'm more than willing to place my endorsement on that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Board of Education. I'm J.T. Stroder. I'm the superintendent at Grand County School District, and I'd like to thank you for having it cool in this room.
My name is Duke Mossman. I'm the director, actually, of news and UES. I'm here pinch hitting for Scott, who is probably sporting a Speedo on a beach somewhere at this moment. So anyway, glad to be here with you.
So, you're going to see a lot of similar things in the presentation from Southeast Service Center. But I'm going to try to just touch on, from a superintendent's perspective, maybe some things that didn't get touched on, and I'll let you kind of look through the slide. But I just want to say that, I've been a superintendent for 14 years in 4 states. Not because I had to get out of a state and leave another state and go to this state, but really because, as an administrator, I wanted to experience different places, and I wanted to experience different cultures, and I wanted to see some different things. So I have experience, vast experience in different states from a superintendent's perspective, and I can say that hands down, the format that Utah uses for its service centers is the best that I've ever experienced. I was a superintendent in Texas, which has 20 service centers, and just the superintendents in our regional service center would meet in a room about 5 times this size, because that's the size of the room that it took. You'd show up to the meeting and you'd leave and you'd go home, and you probably wouldn't really think about the meeting until the next meeting. But Utah's system, to reinforce what Superintendent Ray and Superintendent Davis has said, really allows us as superintendents to have a professional learning community. And the Southeast Service Center was unique last year in that it had 3 brand new superintendents, new to the superintendency, and me, brand new to Utah. And it really allowed us as superintendents to learn together and to grow and to collaborate, and that is invaluable from a superintendent's perspective. I'm going to say something here that might be a little bit controversial, but you could take a large school superintendent and plug him into a small rural school district, and they'd have a hard time functioning, because we wear every administrative hat you could possibly think of as administrators in small rural school districts. And the service centers really allow us as superintendents in small rural school districts to have access to services and functions that most large school districts have, that we would never have otherwise. So it's really a good system that you're using, and it's a great format. So that being said, the Southeast Service Center is based in Price. There's only 4 member school districts: Grand County, Emery County, San Juan County, and Carbon County. But it covers a vast geographical area. It covers a lot of ground. As a matter of fact, if you take our number of students that we serve and compare that to the acreage that we cover, the land area that we cover, it's mind-boggling the amount of land that we have, that we cover, compared to how many students we have. So we serve about 10,500 students almost 600 teachers, and we're really provided all of the services that all of the other service centers provide. And so even though we collaborate in our own service center, it's really a larger collaboration because we collaborate with all of these guys behind us. Really, the 4 service centers work closely together in what they do and how they provide services and the problems that they face and the administrative functions that they deal with. I'm not going to repeat everything that we do. We do the same things with the servers that are housed at our service center that allow us to have our student information system, our financial software. We have an employee from the service center that is invaluable to our area when it comes to testing. They actually travel through the 4 counties during testing season, and they're actually working with our teachers, working with our testing coordinators, troubleshooting problems, training staff how to deliver the assessment. That person is invaluable that comes from the service center. The cooperative purchasing is huge in what it provides us. The 4 counties, the Southeast Service Center, have really started focusing a lot on student mental health this last year. And there's a program out there that we'd really like to bring in to work with our teachers in professional development. But it's expensive. We can't afford it. Grand County can't afford it. But the service center is actually giving us a format that will allow us to possibly pursue this training that we think will greatly benefit our teachers in the area of students' mental health. The service center is going to give us a format to hopefully make that happen. So the cooperative services purchasing piece is huge for what we do. One of the things that hadn't been touched on was the security audit that was done last year through the service centers. We actually, through UEN and through the service centers, gave the smallest rural school districts an opportunity to have our data services audited for security. And it really opened my eyes as an administrator into how many areas we didn't have locked down as small rural school districts. That thanks to the services of UEN through the service centers, we now have those areas locked down. And so that security audit that was done through the service center last year was a very important piece that you often don't think about in education that allowed us to do what some of the bigger districts do. Anything you want to add?
Go ahead. You want to get the slide?
Yep. Sorry, I'm talking and not paying attention to the slides. Again, most of these services you've already heard about, so I'm not going to repeat them. The online driver education, the ebook system, the library services, the endorsement classes, which are huge for our small rural districts. We often have a hard time finding licensed teachers, and we especially have a hard time in Moab, because if you've ever tried to buy a house in Moab, you'd probably be shocked. And it's the same for people who try to rent in Moab. So we often end up hiring local people who may not have an endorsement. And so what CUES has done with their classes that they offer, it's really opened a door that we wouldn't have had access to otherwise. So that's huge in what we're able to do in terms of who we hire in Moab.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that SCSC. Oops. There we go. Yeah, I'd like to also add that SCSC is the lead service center for coordinating our Utah Rural Schools Conference, which is held every year. And this year we held it actually in Price. It was the first time that we've been out of Cedar City, and I think we had close to 800 attendees. And we actually had John Hattie coming. He canceled on us the night before, but it was still an awesome conference. And so, yeah, hats off to them, because they really take the lead in coordinating that conference for us, which is really a statewide conference, but it is held primarily for the 4 rural regions. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to invite Superintendent Shad Sorensen from South Summit to join me. And again, my name is Duke Mossman, and I'm the director of NUES, Northeastern. education services. And we're going to go ahead and go through our slides real quick. And really, I think if you've caught the gist of our presentations, our job really is to save the district's money. In my region, my LEAs range from 150 to close to 7,000. So I've got Daggett School District, which is the smallest in the state. I've also got some charters, but my charters, I think, are all larger than Daggett School District. And so you can see by my list there that we have 9 school districts, 4 charters, serve roughly 33,000 students and 1,800, close to 2,000 educators. As far as our delivery of services, we have our network engineer. We all have a network engineer. We all have a technology trainer. It shows there, the amount of trainings that they do. But we also do our monthly coordinating with our region technology directors. And that's one thing that we've tried to expand. We have a region special ed director meeting. We have a region curriculum director meeting where we bring those people in and try and coordinate as a region on projects where it makes sense. Things that we've done this year include the offsite backups, EduRoam, which has already been mentioned, and security audits and those types of activities. Okay, as far as our delivery of higher ed services, we also do endorsements. And I think you've gotten the gist that we've all kind of specialized in different endorsements. And so News does primarily the reading endorsements, reading level 1, reading level 2. We have 55 educators from 19 LEAs, and again, those are LEAs on the Wasatch Front as well as within all of our rural regions. We run our Sterling Scholar program in coordination with UVU, and also run the coordination of the online curriculum system. And that was they've already talked a little bit about that with Edgenuity. But before, our region has been actually on Edgenuity, which is an online curriculum service for 10 years. And our contract was coming due, and so we had to renew it. Davis contacted us and said, look, we're going to look for online curriculum as well. Could we work together to do this? And so by working with them, we brought the cost of our annual license from $350 down to $275. And that just alone among my region LEA saved about $40,000. But by bringing in Davis, we have 25 LEAs now participating on that contract. And with the average cost that they normally charge for that license, which is $800, we've got it now down at $275, which is a savings of close to $300,000 statewide for that online curriculum system, which is being used in Logan, as well as Weber, and districts outside of the districts that we normally serve. So it's a huge win for us. Okay, as far as coordination of other higher ed goals, you have a list there. We also run an e-book system called Overdrive. We had 40,000 checkouts this year. We run the online driver's ed for 3 of the rural regions, and we had 815 kids complete that program this year. We also do our region art show. But anyway, there's just a list of a few of the things that we run. And again, our main goal is to serve the districts wherever we can and to help them save money and provide services to their kids and to try and bring some type of educational equity to the rural schools.
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you very much for your time. It is just a pleasure to know that we have a state board that is committed to each and every child. And I also want to express appreciation to our superintendent and those staff that work for the state board. As you have listened today, I hope you've caught the gist of the power of we. And that is really what the service centers are all about. We've all seen that analogy where you take one twig and it's easy to break. You bring a bunch of twigs together and it's much more difficult to break them. And that is what the service centers provide. You heard today that the service centers not only benefit their region, but collectively they benefit the whole entire state of Utah and every student that attends our public schools. I had written down some notes. You've heard them expressed 2 or 3 different times, and I want to give value to your time and not go through all of them. But our district would have great challenges in regard to professional learning and technology and even mental health and wellness and access if we did not have the services that are provided under our service center. And one that you didn't hear about that is a great benefit to ours is we have a collaborative access to legal services. And so before we did not have district legal services, and it made it very difficult. But now, because of the collective access that we have under a contract, we are able to obtain legal services at the time that we need it and get the wisdom and the direction that we need. So again, I just want to express my appreciation and let you know that the funds and the time and the talent that we dedicate to the service centers benefit every student in each of our rural districts, and I think collectively as a whole. And so thank you very much for your support.
I don't know what this is about, but I think I need to be on the beach right now. We have a couple more slides. I'm like dripping sweat today. Okay, the next slide that we have here is our performance measures for the year. We set these goals 2 years ago with the legislature, with the PEA committee, and with the State Office of Education. And we kind of shot, last year we didn't set them till January, so we did half a year. This was our first full year of the goals that we set for performance measures for the regional service centers. And we didn't hit 2 of them, but the other 2 that we did. So for professional development services, training hours, we have an annual goal of 3,200. We were able to do 27, basically 2,700. For participation hours, which are the number of hours of participants that are in a class that are being taught or being trained, we set a goal of 20,000 hours, and we're up to close to 25. So that one we did hit. Technical support services are a number of actual technical support hours within the LEAs, and we're at 69, so we're about 500 short there. But our higher ed services, which was 1,500 graduate credit hours, we way overshot that one at 2,490 with the endorsement programs that we're doing. So as far as the credits that are being generated through those endorsement programs. So we have, I think we're going to try and stay with these performance measures for another year to see how we do now that we've had 1 full year under our belt, and we still think we can hit those that we didn't quite hit this last year. Finally, we are currently working in a regional service center study group, and Chair Huntsman has been meeting with us. We've met 4 times. This commission was, or this work group was commissioned by the Public Ed Appropriations Committee last legislative session. And really the purpose of that is to review regional service center governance, accountability, and funding options. And so we've met. The work group consists of Chair Huntsman, Superintendent Dixon, Deputy Superintendent Jones, the 4 regional service center directors, our 4 board chairs, and we've also invited Ben Lishman from the Fiscal Analyst Office and Jacob Wright from the Governor's Budget Office. And so we've had 4 meetings to date, and we are working on some rule and code changes that we hope will answer some questions that have been asked in the past. There's been a lot of questions about our governance. We currently are governed by our boards, which are our superintendents, are our boards. But our funding does flow through the State Board of Education. And so we've been, like I said, we've met for 4 times, and we're working on some recommendations for rule changes, as well as probably some code changes, because there are some things coming up that ways that we think we can streamline what we do to make our relationship with USBE closer and better, as well as benefit our students, our LEAs, and us. And so the work group is scheduled to report to the October PEA meeting, but we are hoping that we can present our recommendations for rule and code changes to you at your next board meeting or in October. So that's pretty much where we're at the moment. And so lastly, we're open for questions.
Okay, board members, this is a time for questions or comments. Board member Belknap.
I was kind of watching to see if Carol brought this up, because it's something she brought up that triggered my mind. And you're looking at news, and you have 32,000 students, and yet
DC?
No.
SC.
Yeah, the other one, Moab. How's that? Moab's has, SESC has 10,000 students, and yet funding is equal across the board. So
Correct.
I guess my question is that because of the travel distance? Why is it statute? Is it rule? What creates that?
So the question about the equal funding is, it is in rule, that whatever is appropriated by the legislature be divided equally. And the way it's, I've been in this position now going on my 14th year, and we've really all been okay with that, because really that funding is provide a director and 2 additional FTE and really M&O, so that we're all equal in that regard. And then beyond that, we then, go for grants or get funding from our local LEAs to provide other positions. But as far as the $500,000 that we're currently each getting at the moment, that's really seen as a base funding for all 4 of us, so that we're equal in that regard. Even though we do serve different amounts of students, how we do that is by going after additional funding sources from other sources. But this state funding is basically our base fund.
Follow up, sorry.
Yeah, follow up. I can see you're confused.
Sorry. I'm not really confused. And so will some of that make a difference because?
You look confused.
Yeah, I might look confused always, but Superintendent Ray was saying, I think you said it, I'm not sure, that you have 8.5 people and yet you have 5.
5.5, yeah.
5.5. And so is that where some of the different money goes needed?
Yes. So like Hughes mentioned, they're funding from their LEAs 2.5 positions. In my region, they want my LEAs fund half a position.
Okay.
So it all depends, if they have extra needs, like their computer repair person is totally district funded. So it's when the boards meet. I used to have a full-time special ed person that was funded 100% by my LEAs. So it just kind of depends on, as the boards and superintendents meet and charter directors, if there's specific needs that they want or see as a high critical issue, then they'll pool the money in to do that separately from the state funds.
Thank you, Duke.
Yep.
Okay. Board Member Earl.
Thank you. I got to meet with these individuals down, I was going to say gentlemen, but I think there was one lady in the right. Anyways, regardless, at the rural schools conference. And so it was a pleasure to get to meet them and to see the collaboration and the desire they had for students in all parts of the state, especially in their extreme areas that some of these youth live and the circumstances they live in, to see them coordinate together and to do what's best for the families there. And so I just appreciate their time and their energies that they dedicate. So I just wanted to say that. And it's kind of fun seeing them in a little different atmosphere here. So anyway.
Thank you.
Board Member Lear.
I won't be voting on the budget because I do provide services to some of these regional service centers. But I wanted to just say a couple of things. I've been watching regional service centers for like 4 decades. And their increased sophistication and creativity is really impressive. It used to be just an IT kind of a place they could get IT services. And I think that Jason's example of needing a school psychologist and partnering with a school district and who couldn't, and nobody could have done it by themselves, but they found that they used BYU, they got the school district involved, they got Q's involved, and created a situation and then helped pay the students' tuition so that she or he was inspired to come and work for this and work with this group and do some more traveling than she usually would. And I just thought it was such a really creative example of solving a problem. And I'm just continually impressed at their creativity and the way that they span different distances. And to Laura's point, now I see this up on the screen, and it makes more sense to me now that they're funded equally, because similarly to taking a certain amount of money, Tintic High School takes almost as much high school or money to run as East High School does. So in some ways, funding them equally makes sense because their services are necessary for that area regardless of the total students that feed into it. So it makes more sense to me now. But I just want to commend them for their increasing and ongoing creativity. They aren't just sitting there taking state money. I think they're looking for ways to serve their populations better.
Thank you.
Okay, Board Member Linda Hansen.
Mark and I were invited to come down to a Q's meeting a couple years ago, was it, Mark? And I've been a fan ever since because of regional service centers, because I had no idea this was all going on and all the wonderful things you do. So it's great. The conference is great. I'm still trying to recruit more people to go to the conference because I go and learn so much at that conference. So thank you so much for all the great things that you do. And are you ready for a motion yet?
Not yet.
Okay, let me know when you're ready for the motion.
Okay. Superintendent Dixon?
Yeah, I want to reflect back on something that Superintendent Stroder talked about, having observed models in various states. I too really appreciate the model that we have in Utah, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that I've had an interest in tweaking the model a bit for a long time. And the gentlemen that have presented to you today have been so gracious in entertaining my desires and ideas to have a stronger relationship with the regional service centers. In many states, as Superintendent Stroder talked about, you see them as an arm of the agency, and that has never been my desire. I love that superintendents drive the work that goes on in the service centers, and that they're led by really great leaders who, to Board Member Lear's point, are really creative and doing some wonderful things. My desire has been trying to find a way to get them more resources, and then when initiatives are rolled out that are statewide, how we can work more closely with them and support them in rolling out the initiatives. So we've been having really good conversations, and I so appreciate the leaders who have been willing to brainstorm and think about how we can support a model to strengthen what they're already doing and provide them with additional resources. So that's been my desire stepping into this and observing them. I would encourage, as Board Member Hanson said, when you visit a service center, I noted that you all took a picture and put it in your slideshows as if it was a glamorous photo of a large, lovely building. And there are these tiny little places that you pull up to and you think, how can they possibly serve all the kiddos out of these little tiny buildings? But magic really happens inside of those buildings. And the services they're providing to students and teachers, I think are really some of the most creative things I've seen in this state. And I'm really proud of these superintendents and the directors and the innovation that occurs. I talk about it all over the country, that our most innovative places happen in rural Utah. And it's it's out of necessity and invention on behalf of kids. And they're really focused and have a great desire to make sure that kids are prepared. So I just want to give a public shout out to your work, to you as individuals, and to you collectively, and appreciate you coming to the table to say, how can we do things a little bit differently so that we can maximize our resources and potential and outcomes. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comments or questions before we get into this? When you look at that geographically, in my voting district, I have 3 of those regional service centers. In the beginning of everything that's happening there, I could never tell them apart who's with whom because of the collaborative way you guys work together. I mean, I couldn't find a separation. And then I find that in the education community too, as they're trying to get endorsements and that. It's you brought it up. It's about the power of the we and that. And so this has been working pretty good. The one part of your presentation that might be relevant is the relationship with the local boards. It's there. And I'm going to take a privilege here and invite Terry. Will you come up and speak a little bit about this, because it mentioned about a local control, and I just want to bring this up. This is informational, and some people, most likely legislators, will probably come back to this presentation also, because they've wondered themselves, okay, how does this work? Who really controls all these presenters, and how does this work? And some of it is implied. Our role is on the budgeting side. A lot of the work that you're seeing here, is, besides the collaboration with USBE, is based on feedback from the local board. So, Terry, could you comment?
Thank you. Terry Shoemaker with the Utah School Boards Association, Utah School Superintendents Association. Just want to say 2 things. having served as chair of the news board twice, you got a feel today of the kind of creativity that occurs when the superintendents who serve as the board members of these service centers get together and make good things happen for kids. Not only for the teachers and the kids in their own school districts that they represent in that service center, but also other places all over the state. So this collaboration is a statewide thing. It continues to grow, and having watched it now for nearly 20 years, it's significantly greater today. And I want to say that what Superintendent Dixon was suggesting is a way to continue to help this grow under the leadership of the state board, because technically their funding now fits under your model here. And so they're going to need that support with you. But when the superintendents stay in that leadership role like we've got right now, good things happen. That's the first thing I want to say. Now, getting back to the local boards. All of these service centers are put together through an interlocal agreement that the local school boards have to sign to create the service centers. That's part of the statute. So the service centers are very, very, very important for all the reasons that have been discussed today. I don't want to enunciate those again. But I want you to understand, if the school board members were sitting here, and Mark Marsh is one that was just recently one of those, he would say to you the work of the service centers matters a great deal to the local boards of education because of the combination of services that can be done, the savings of funds that occur there, and the creativity that comes when the superintendents get together and solve problems together. That is really all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. I didn't want to have to say it because I thought it was relevant, so I knew you would bring that. Board Member Hanson, did you have something? Board Member Linda Hanson?
I have a motion. I move that the board approve the regional service center budgets for fiscal year 2020.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Voting is unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And to speak to what would be coming next month, just so that you kind of know, SB 4, what? What's that? Oh, I forgot. Okay, make sure we have that in there. Carol abstained. Okay, thank you. You said that before. I should have brought that out. Thank you. What's Superintendent? You want to say what's coming up?
If I may bring another point up that I think Mr. Mossman addressed, but when you were talking about the ongoing meetings and then appearing before public ed appropriations, I just want to reiterate that there may at some point then be a request for us to support a change to code or a change to the budget. I mean, there will be recommendations coming out of that work group that will be brought before you in either your September or October board meeting with a presentation to public ed appropriations with further action and statute. And that was mentioned, but I just wanted to reiterate that because you voted on the budget today pending some further motions that may be brought forth to this board to vote on in September and or October.
Correct.
Did I get that correct?
You did, yep.
So this
Thank
was
you.
strictly budget today. That's what point I was wanting to make. This was not on anything else outside
Right.
of that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along.